Shaking My Head Productions.
Here's what's on.
It's not gonna look like that, is it? Actually, kind of wanted to watch the Truth Stream video, the Truth Stream Media's videos. Yeah, I wanted to finish watching this movie, video.
Italian way of life. Cheese. You can enjoy the authentic Italian experience. Italy's #1 cheese brand. Try Galbani cheese and get a taste of Dolce Vita.
I don't know if I can get in trouble for this, so I don't want to get slapped with a copyright or something for showing other ads.
In their own lives and for their own well-being and those they love and care for, is that they now are in a place where it's just like they're open. They're just open and receiving everything that they are told without any critical thinking, stopping. It's you know how they say that when you're a child, up until the age of 6 or 7, before concrete reasoning skills kick in, that you are just basically a sponge that is taking in your reality in a very unfiltered way. And so everything is going in.
It's Zoom right now.
Some people have reverted back now to that phase.
My like,
and so
oh my God,
everything is there.
ice pack.
There's not trust but verify. The verify part is gone. It's just belief, and that's it. Without any questions being asked whatsoever.
Come on, man.
And that is a completely dangerous place for society to be in. Because it's coming up meeting with all of this technology that's getting more and more and more sophisticated all the time. And I spoke about this years ago. I did a video, and actually it had to do with a Stanford experiment that was being done. Stanford tried to censor our video, it went viral, and then Stanford tried to censor it, got it shut down for 2 weeks, made an appeal. When it finally came back, it never regained the views that it was getting before they did that. But this is kind of a follow-up to where that technology has gone. What they know now, years later, with some of this. So this is a picture of a child that doesn't exist. This was created by a generative adversarial network, by an AI. This child is not real. He may look real. He may look like a real kid to you. That is a composite image that an AI made out of lots of other images, and it's getting more and more sophisticated all of the time. And in fact, it's getting so sophisticated that studies are showing, and this one just came out, it was just published a couple of days ago, that humans now find AI-generated faces more trustworthy than the real thing. So we are at that point now where people are unable to distinguish now between sophisticated machine-generated humans, pictures of people, and actual pictures of actual living, breathing people. The veil between those two worlds is so thin as to basically be non-existent at this point. And so this was a study published in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences, and the results suggest that real humans can easily fall for machine-generated faces and even interpret them as more trustworthy than genuine pictures of actual human beings. It says, we found that not only are synthetic faces highly realistic, they're deemed more trustworthy than real faces, says study co-author Henry Fareed, a professor at the University of California, Berkeley. The result raises concerns that these faces could be highly effective when used for nefarious purposes. Or at all. I mean, just, they could show you 20 faces of people and say, this is these people, and this is what happened to them, here's a whole backstory about them, and why you should care, and blah, 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 blah. And literally none of them could be real. That's the level. It's beyond deep fakes. It's like whole realities can now be created by artificial intelligence, and nobody would know if they don't question anything. And even if you do question it, it's going to become impossible to tell. And so they compiled 400 real faces of actual people and 400 synthetic versions of people. And they asked 315 people to distinguish using 128 images, and they gave them as long as they needed to do that. And then there was another group of 219 participants who actually received training and feedback on how to spot fakes to try to help them a little bit, right? And then they had a group of 223 participants that rated a selection of 128 images for their trustworthiness of whether or not that image was real. The first group did not do better than a coin toss at telling real faces from fake ones with an average accuracy of 48.2%. The second group, the one that was trained to spot fakes, failed to show a dramatic improvement, receiving only about 59%. And that's even with feedback about their choices to try to help them. And the group that was rating trustworthiness gave the synthetic faces a slightly higher average rating of 4.82 compared to 4.48 for real, actual living human beings. And it says the researchers weren't expecting these results and that they initially thought the synthetic faces would be less trustworthy than the real ones. That did not happen. It did say that they were able to overwhelmingly identify certain fakes as being fake. But overall, it was basically a coin toss, which means it's getting to a point of impossible to tell.
Have you ever had a dream that you were so sure it was real? What if you were unable to wake from that dream? How would you know the difference between the dream and the real?
And this is the study. It was done through the Department of Psychology at Lancaster University in the UK and the Department of Electrical Engineering and Computer Sciences at University of California, Berkeley. There's just a couple comments down here that I wanted to review in the discussion. It says, synthetically generated faces are not just highly photorealistic, they're nearly indistinguishable from real faces and are judged more trustworthy. And that was the most interesting part, that synthetically generated faces were deemed more trustworthy. Synthetically generated faces have emerged on the other side of the uncanny. This should be considered a success for the fields of computer graphics and vision. But at the same time, easy access to high-quality fake imagery has led and will continue to lead to various problems, including more convincing online fake profiles, and as synthetic audio and video generation continues to improve. Problems of non-consensual, intimate imagery, fraud, and disinformation campaigns with serious implications for individual societies and democracies. We therefore encourage those developing these technologies to consider whether the associated risks are greater than their benefits. They always say stuff like that, don't they? I bring this up all the time, and I feel like a freaking broken record saying it, but how many times have we heard them warn, like, are the benefits outweighing the risks here? Like, it doesn't ever stop a damn thing, does it? Not ever.
If you extrapolate to the future and say, well, how good, let's say, will video games be in 100 or 200 or 1,000 years from now.
If you extrapolate that out into the future with any rate of progress at all, if you assume any improvements at all,
If you assume any rate of improvement at all,
any rate of improvement at all, like even 0.1% or something like that, any improvement, 1%, 0.1%,
then the games will become indistinguishable from reality.
then eventually those games will be indistinguishable from reality.
Beyond a certain resolution, indistinguishable from reality. Indistinguishable.
If we're so realistic, you will not be able to tell the difference between that game and reality as we know it. Then games will be indistinguishable from reality.
So, essentially, we live in a world now, technologically speaking, where... I love you guys. I'll talk to you later.
That was strange. That was strange. Let's see here. I'm surprised it doesn't even say 0 watching.
Who said lawns had to be the same? Here come the perennials, changing the game. Not keeping up with the Joneses, but using seed that saves water. Ending up with something much.
Oh my gosh, this thing.
Sure, there's more than one way to get the job.
Come on with the ads, my guy.
There's really no comparison.
My friends, welcome. Yesterday I posted my report detailing the Gates Foundation's funding of gain-of-function research into H5N1, attempting to get it to cross over into humans. And I asked the question, is bird flu going to be the next pandemic? What I didn't realize was that just last week, former CDC Director Robert Redfield answered my question.
Yeah, I think we have to recognize, I've always said that I think the COVID pandemic was a wake-up call. I don't believe it's the great pandemic. I believe the great pandemic is still in the future, and that's going to be a bird flu pandemic for man. It's going to have significant mortality in the 10 to 50% range. It's going to be trouble, and we should get prepared for it. I do believe that the pandemic risk is a greater risk of the national security of the United States than Korea, China, Russia, Iran. And we ought to start investing proportional to that national security risk so we're prepared.
Wow. So the former CDC
Well,
director,
no offense, sir,
who,
but
for the
your black
record,
magic
was
will
very
not
much
work with us.
involved in and entirely aligned with
Some of
Dr.
us
Fauci
see
on
through
the response to COVID-19,
dark occultism.
is telling us in no uncertain terms that, yes, bird flu will be the next pandemic. In fact, it will be the real one. It will jump into humans, and he even cites the same fatality numbers that the Gates Foundation funded gain-of-function research on H5N1 bird flu was able to achieve by splicing genes from the Spanish flu 100 years ago and the seasonal influenza now to make a mutant hybrid nasty bird flu that'll kill half the world population. That's what the media has been telegraphing us is about to happen. I'm not the only one asking if bird flu is the next pandemic. In fact, NPR has been putting out pieces posing this, sort of setting the stage with some predictive programming, and even organizations like the International Livestock Research Institute has been suggesting bird flu could be the next global pandemic. That is part of CGIAR, which itself was also funded by Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation to the tune of upwards of $1 billion in order to create an agricultural system with gender equality and climate resilience. So there is a network of nastiness which has funded the research into the creation of a highly fatal, a weaponized bird flu. Let's get down to brass tacks there. And is now telegraphing from their various positions, having infiltrated various offices of health and agriculture and food policy, that bird flu will be the next pandemic. Remember, even Fauci himself authored this paper in 2020 where he wrote that pandemics have been happening ever since human hunter-gatherers made the mistake of settling the villages, domesticating animals, and cultivating crops, because it's agriculture that has to be transformed right now. It's the food they're coming after. And they have warned us, and we should heed their warning.
So, I just wanted to mirror a couple good channels, and I really just was testing out the waters. Support my brother Rob if you can. Infinite Cup, the Infinite Cup. This guy's probably in the club. Otherwise, he wouldn't probably know that in 2014 there's specifically going to be a Russia and Ukraine war. But yeah, just a test stream. I think I'm going to end it there. Because why not? No one's watching anyway. No one's watched. No one's liked. So, thanks for now.